And we're live. Pep Talk UK. Joe P, joined as ever by Jay Albie. We've got a big show tonight talking about the big announcement, Fight Camp, first shows on the Zone from the UK. 3 big shows, very big shows. A lot of fights to talk about tonight, and we're going to go through every single one of them and see what you think. But first of all, Jay, how are you?
Evening, Joe. I'm all good. Excited. Great to be here tonight, and good to see you.
As ever, mate, as ever. We'll go straight into it. I don't want to waste no time tonight because there's a lot of fights to talk about. Hopefully, we're going to be joined by Kenny a bit later on. But let us know what you think in the comments. What are the fights you're most looking forward to? Were you disappointed by the announcement? Was you expecting bigger names? Let us know what you think. Get in the comments, share the video, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for Pep Talk UK. But what was your initial thoughts, Jay, when you saw the full announcement?
I don't know, because obviously we see Eddie's notepad, didn't we, the other day? So there was a couple of names on there that you kind of expected. So it kind of took the wind out of that sail. But I don't know. It was I'm happy with with the cards. To me, I said to you, it's like a Saturday fight night, but a bit more better in that. So the fights on there, I like some of the fights, so I'm not too upset. But I can see some fans. There's going to be some arguments maybe about there's no like big names, like proper big names on there, or any big attraction fights, maybe pay-per-view style, maybe on the last card. Although the Buatsi card's not too bad. It's probably the best of the 3, but. Yeah, I like the fights, but it depends. It depends what you like. If you wanted a bit more, but I'm happy with it. But there's some interesting fights we can discuss, definitely.
Oh, 100%. And a couple of wild card ones that obviously we'd kind of seen from the notepad, but if you take away the notepad thing out the equation, there's some really shockers, big shockers in there. I thought Cullen Yildirim comes to mind.
Random fight, that one, yeah.
Markle versus Proden, that comes to mind. So yeah, we'll talk about them all tonight, Jay, and obviously at the end, hopefully we'll go over what we think is the best fight of all 3 cards, because there are some. I don't even know how many fights, and I think there's still going to be a couple announced, which I'm really looking forward to, and world title fights. We're getting a couple of world title fights, which is always fantastic. And we've just got Kenny is in the waiting room. We just get him in. Kenny, how are you, mate?
I'm all good. I'm just been watching a bit of my Spain are coming on soon. You know, I've seen the fights being announced. Just getting my little other equipment. So I just want to go through
and
I'm watching.
Evening, Ken.
I'm watching Conor Benn trying to sell the Fight Camp.
We're just having a bit of genuine chat about Fight Camp, Kenny. What did you make of it? What was it? Did it live up to your expectations?
Hold on.
That's all right.
Just glad you got shorts on, Ken.
Yeah. Good job you weren't in your pants there, Ken.
No. Hold on. It's gone all like wavy the phone. Oops. Hold on. Technical issues.
No problem, Kenny. You take your time.
Obviously, them announcements got Kenny in a spin today, Joe.
Yeah, that's it. The announcements. Overwhelmed by it. There we go.
There you go. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah, back to normal.
You know what? I was so shocked by some of the fights I've seen that I just that's what got me in a bit of a spin. Listening to
there you go.
Conor Benn, Bruce. So back to Fight Camp. Well, I saw the leak, and so I was expecting some of these fights anyway. But seeing it, I think for me, if that's what's available, then that's what's available. I would like better. But I think maybe Fight Camp from last year was just a hard act to follow because we had the situation where we weren't getting live boxing. It was a good novel idea, but I think what's happening because of the year we've had where we haven't really had the big fights, all due to probably TV schedules. We're probably looking at Eddie leaving Sky. He's saying that he wants the ability to basically give fight fans the fights they want. He wants fighters to have more money, and then we see this. So it is a bit lukewarm, but it's about what's available. At the end of the day, the best fights on paper are probably the worst fights you'll see live. So I've got to take that sort of philosophical, take that sort of philosophical attitude.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll go through each fight night one by one, starting off with the 31st of July, which I think is only 6 weeks away, just over 6 weeks away. So we've got a bit of time, but again, it's not ages away. So we'll go through the card. I'll quickly list off all the fights if you haven't heard. It's Conor Benn versus Adrian Granados. That is the headline of the first ever Matchroom UK show on the Zone. We've got Tommy McCarthy versus Chris Billam-Smith for the EBU European Cruiserweight title, the Commonwealth and the vacant British. We've got Anthony Fowler versus Roberto Garcia. We've got Jack Cullen versus Avni Yildirim. We've got Shannon Courtney making her first defence of her world title against an opponent to be announced. We've got Campbell Hatton and Sandy Ryan also making her debut. A long card, a long and a long list of very familiar names for fight fans. So, main event, Conor Benn versus Granados. Jay, what do you make of that fight? Is it a good fight for Conor Benn?
Yeah, definitely a great fight for Conor Benn. It's a step up from his last fight against Vargas. If he wants to start going for world level, he needs to start fighting these sort of operators. We've seen the Mexicans come over and they're really tough, cause some big upsets, and this guy, he ain't gonna hold back. He's gonna come forward, and look, they're the sort of fights that Conor Benn's gonna be exciting in. The ones that the opponent's gonna come for it, they're gonna trade, and it's gonna be a bit of a war, a bit like his dad. That's where he's got the same sort of tendencies as his dad, is that they can put an entertaining fight on when it comes to it. So yeah, expect fireworks. We saw him in the last fight. We thought that was going to be a step up, but he blasted Vargas out in one round. So yeah, I'm excited, and he looks a beast, like you said, in training. He looks like he's definitely stepped up to the next level the last year or so. So, yeah, no, I think it's a good fight for Conor Benn. I think you can see that they're definitely trying to push him. He's going to be one of the big names now for the Zone. You're going to see a lot with Conor Benn. And, yeah, no, I think it's a good fight. I think that is a good fight. Like you said, it's what... I don't know. Some fans are going to be disappointed. You're always going to get that. There's going to be some fans that will want a different type of fight or whatever. But overall, $1.99 for the Zone, I can't really argue. If you put it in that like sort of content and that, you can't really argue with these fights for that sort of price. So yeah, it's definitely the value for money. You can't really argue with that, and I'll be happy with this for a main event. So yeah, I'm happy.
Kenny, do you think that some fight fans' expectations were overheightened when names like Amir Khan and Sean Porter were being thrown about when it come to possible opponents for Conor Benn?
No, I think what's happening is it's just too early for Conor Benn as well, because it's what I call kind of life fighters, and Conor needs to learn his trade. So for me, I was never a massive fan of him fighting those guys anyway. Conor's got a lot of time in his hands. He'll tell you different. But, for me, 100%, he's got a lot of time in his hands. So for me, it's a fight that I wouldn't really want to take. At the end of the day, Grandios, he's fought good fighters. He's fought Broner. He's fought Porter himself, and he's lost some big fights. So it's one of those things where, in order to step up the level, he's got to be fighting them, people like this and beating them well. So. Because he's now got a platform where people from the USA are going to watch, obviously, for their design platform. So this is a good fight for him. Again, as you said before, we have had a lot of situations in you know, like you know, with Mexican fighters coming over, you know, not just Mexican fighters from you know, like South America as well, got nothing to lose, don't care. That, you know, it's like they're taking their frustrations out on British fighters because they haven't had much fight action. So they come here, one away from home, one away lot. Well, you know,
we saw it at the weekend, didn't we? With Ritson at the weekend as well.
Yeah, Ritson,
he fought a guy from Argentina.
Yeah, Ponce got battered.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got Lara as well. He's won well. So
yeah,
it's one of those, you know, being at Warrington. So it's one of those things. You can't take it for granted. But knowing Conor Bell, not, you know, from the last fight when he fought Vargas, didn't give him enough time to breathe. He said, right, I'm taking him out. It's either him or me. And I like that kind of attitude. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, of course. And I think people's expectations needed to be kind of lowered because Conor Benn, he's still a work in progress. He's a fantastic work in progress, and he's this big name where the numbers he's doing, the attention, the eyes he's bringing to the sport. Yeah, let's have him being steadily pushed. Granados. Then I'd have another fight, and then you want to be thinking about your Sean Porters. I'd have 2 fighters at least before you even think about your Sean Porters, and you've got to look very good.
I want him to main event 4 or 5 pay-per-views as well, Joe. Get that big fight filled. You know what I mean? Being top of the bill, he needs that experience. I think 4 or 5 main events headlining, world contenders or world challengers like this Granados, people like that. I do agree with you there. I think a couple more challenges like this, then he'd be ready to step up. But Sean Porter's a very, very experienced fighter, world champion, ex-world champion, great amateur as well. So, yeah, it'd be a big step up if he fought him.
100%. And we'll go down to the next fight on the card, and Shannon Courtenay. She was meant to be fighting Rachel Ball. Is it the rematch that's never going to happen? Obviously, heart goes out to Rachel Ball, still not able to box. Oh, we've lost Jay. I'm sure he'll be back. But yeah, Kenny, she's still not able to box Rachel Ball. So is it good that we're still seeing Shannon Courtenay make the first defence of her world title?
I think it's brilliant news for, you know, boxing, because simple reason is that, you know, she's got to be out there. You know, there's a nice new platform for them to go on. So we have to see a world title fight, but, you know, you have to get a credible opponent. You know, people have been pushing Lisa Whiteside, you know, forward as a name. She's only had 3 fights, but, you know, she's fought in, you know, like I said, Commonwealth Games. So they think, well, let's put her forward. So again, it's just finding an opponent for her, and it's a really, really good opportunity. But then again, you marry up giving someone a good opportunity, but you also, you know, want to make sure that it's an entertaining fight for the public as well, and it's a credible fight. So that's why, you know, they're pushing Lisa Whiteside. They're not going to go for Ebony Bridges, because I think I'm assuming that Eddie Hearn's going to want to build her up, because, you know, she put some bums in some seats, and then maybe that's a fight, you know, fight in the future. But it is disappointing. But, you know, you can only your heart goes out, you know, Rachel Ball, because from you know what, you know, I'm hearing, this is really, really knocked her for 6, which means it's going to take a lot of time, which means I just hope there isn't any underlying issues, because, you know, that you know, normally you're out, you know, COVID, you know, does you maybe for a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, but this is something that's affected her, you know, physically and to a certain extent, where she can't do a full training camp. So that is, you know, for her health, you know, I just really, really played. They do all the tests and try and check her out, because you don't want to go into a big fight like that, and then we're having a situation we don't want to see in any sporting event. So, you know, I'll take my time with her. But, you know, in terms of Shannon, disappointing, but, you know, they're pushing Lisa Whiteside forward. So, you know, that's a good opportunity for her if that could be done.
Yeah, 100%. And another fight. I know you like this one, Jay. Tommy McCarthy versus Chris Billam-Smith. You got the Commonwealth on the line, you got the British, and you got the European. It's what we love to see. What do you make of it?
No, I think it's a good fight. I think we've seen Chris Billam-Smith, the last year, 18 months, having some great fights domestically, put himself right up there. Got a great trainer in Shane McGuigan. And then you see McCarthy, European champion. We've seen what he's got. He's got some heavy hands. He's a great fighter. Comes from Ireland. Great pedigree. And I think that's just a great fight. I think it's going to be an explosive fight. It's going to be really a slugfest, as I call it. And I think someone's definitely getting KO'd in that fight. I think can't see it going the distance, to be honest. Good fight. I like that.
Kenny?
Yeah, it's a fight I'm looking forward to as well because they're both heavy-handed. It's going to be a heavy-handed fight, and McCarthy, he got bodied technical knockout by Rekifo, and it wasn't nice to see, but he's come back, and he's a hungry fighter as well. Chris Billam-Smith has been built, as someone who could go the whole way. He's got what I feel to be a future Hall of Famer trainer in Shane McGuigan. So one thing you will see in the fight is that Shane will have a plan, and it wouldn't be a situation where Shane's going to tell him to get, let his hands go. He's going to sort of say, pick your moments, create angles, and blah blah, and that's what you're going to see. And also, he's going to keep getting very very fit. So you look at Shane McGuigan fighters, their fitness is something that he's very good at. And I know he was very good for like George Groves in terms of he's improved his fitness. But yeah, it's a really big fight. I'm looking forward to, and it's a really, really big, good opportunity for McCarthy as well. You know what I mean? Because everyone's talking about Billam-Smith, but McCarthy's got some really, really good pedigree as well. And this is a potential fight of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. For me, it's a potential fight of the whole fight camp. I've got to say, I really love this fight. Chris Billam-Smith showed power. He's got good finishing instinct. Tommy McCarthy, boxing abilities there. And he's got that spite about him, which I like. He's got that little bit of edge about him. Bit of needle between these two blokes, which I really enjoy. It's what we like. Like, come on, like we all love it.
Yeah.
And the winner, Eddie said he'd like to push him forward for a world title, which would be big. And do you think it would be deserved, Jay?
I don't know, because McCarthy, I think McCarthy said it today. I think he thinks he's a couple of levels above Billam-Smith at the moment. He's European champion. He's obviously fought a bit of a higher level of opponents, I feel. So I feel like maybe McCarthy, if he gets a solid win, he'll probably go up to world level. Billam-Smith, I would like him to have one or two more fights if he does beat McCarthy, just because I feel like McCarthy's got a little bit more experience. So you see the jump sometimes. You saw it with Craig Richards, with Bivol. If you don't have that in-between fight, sometimes you don't have the belief going into that fight, or you're not experienced enough. There's a few factors that come into it. So, if McCarthy wins, I think it's perfect for him maybe to go to a world, even though Billam-Smith's not at that level yet, but he's a good domestic opponent. But McCarthy's been European level, and normally after the European level, the only way is up. So, I think McCarthy, maybe both fighters need one more fight. I'd say that. I'd say maybe both of them need one more fight and then maybe go for a world honours. Because, look, their weight class, some big, heavy punches in there, and it can get very nasty at the world level. So make sure you're ready and then go for it, I'll say.
Definitely. And they're two boxers that have suffered losses and they've really pushed forward. I think they've used it as an experience and they have really pushed forward. Kenny, who do you favour in this fight 6 weeks out?
I'm going for Billam-Smith. I just think that I'm just thinking in terms of like the thing. I think he could. I think if we go with boxing skills, fitness, I think I'll pick him. I just think he could. I think he could do him in points.
Okay, points decision.
Yeah, points. Yeah.
Jay?
No, I don't disagree with Kenny. I think he's got a good shout there. I think, to be fair, I think it's a 50-50 in some aspects. I think McCarthy's last performance was fantastic. Billam-Smith's last performance, it was okay. The thing with Billam-Smith, sometimes he gets dragged into a war too much and then it gets a bit messy. And so in them sort of fights, it's difficult when it goes to points because it's literally up to the judges. We saw that in the Riakporhe fight. It was a very close fight. It was a war. And I think it depends if he fights clever. I think he's definitely got a chance, Billam-Smith. But McCarthy, I think he's a bit more seasoned, a bit more experienced, and I think he looks really pissed off, really, with Billam Smith. I think he said he felt disrespectful. So, look, I would like Billam Smith to win. He's from the South Coast, like me, so I'd like him to do the business, but I'm going to go with my boxing head here and not sit on the fence, and I'll go, I think McCarthy late stoppage.
There we go. We've got varying opinions, which we love to see. And look, we've got a bit of stick coming from Matchroom. Poor fights, nothing exciting. J Mal, I think I have to admit, I think I understand why people do feel a bit let down, because it's been sold that this is going to be massive, and for like a purist kind of thing, some of these fights are fantastic, but maybe for the wider sporting audience, maybe that they wanted something a bit more. But yeah, there's some really good fights, and including Chris Billam Smith and Tommy McCarthy. But moving on from one McGuigan trained fighter to another, Anthony Fowler has a 10-rounder against Roberto Garcia, a seasoned veteran, and a lot's been said about Anthony Fowler needing that hard 10 rounds before he moves up to that fringe world level, maybe top 10 guys. Do you think this is a good fight for him, Jay, or do you think that it's a step below and you want to move him that bit quicker? Because I know you like moving fighters quick.
Well, it depends. Like I said with the last fight, I don't like moving him too quick when he gets to European to world level. Below that level, I don't mind him moving a bit too quick, like British level up to European. But I think it's a perfect opponent for Anthony Fowler. I think he looks fantastic with Shane McGuigan. I've been watching some of his training clips. He looks like a beast. And I said to you, I feel like in the last year or so, he's like something's like a light switch has gone off since his loss. He's took that. He's took it as a learning experience, not as a like a defeat as such. He said, "Look, this is where I went wrong. I need to step it up a little bit." And I think he looks fantastic. This opponent's never been stopped, so it's definitely, you could put the rounds in. But if you stop this guy, you put a statement out there, because he's fought at world level or near that, and he's not been stopped. So look, I think it's a great fight for Anthony Fowler. Look, it's higher than European level, so I can't really grumble with it. But I do agree with you. I think for the hardcore boxing fans, there's some really interesting fights here and fights you will enjoy. For the casual fans, like you say, if you're trying to get the casual fans in, it's not gonna catch your eye. But look, for me, we're boxing nuts. I'm really looking forward to it. And I think this is a great fight for Fowler, and I definitely would like to see the Cheeseman fight after.
Kenny, were you gutted that it weren't a big domestic clash for Fowler? It weren't a Metcalf, a Cheeseman, even a Conway, a Fitzgerald, or are you happy with the selection in opponent? You are. Good, Kenny.
I would like a domestic opponent. I really would like a domestic opponent. But I think what's happening is that I think maybe from a financial point of view, and maybe for future cards, he would probably want a domestic opponent for maybe a stadium, like for, when we can get more crowds in, because as like
AJ fight maybe,
or something like that.
Yeah, because as right now, I think there's a lot of people who are very, very angry because because what's happened is that the Prime Minister has managed to get us in a situation where he's once again, the Prime Minister has put back releases from lockdown back to July the 19th.
19th.
From a football fan, I've just renewed my season ticket at Arsenal. I'm not having going no ballot, not having that crap again. But that's me. But then again, as a boxing fan, I'm not going no ballot. I'm not missing out. I've had enough of having to be beaten to the punch and have sold out records when I couldn't actually get to a fight. That's not the deal. We've been told to be vaccinated. We've done it. I've had my 2. Yeah, and that we were told that that will give us a situation where they can, free us out of this nightmare. But once again, they've cocked up with the Indian variant because they didn't close the borders. But that's another thing. But in terms of in terms of my point about fight camp, I understand why we're not having situations and fights where maybe Anthony Fowler in a domestic opponent. Maybe Eddie thinks, no, I can't have that fight camp. And I respect that. I really respect that. I expect that you know, if he comes through this fight against Garcia, I expect, you know, once maybe maybe October, we'll be seeing Anthony Fowler in a bigger fight where there's genuine crowds.
Yeah, I think what would be the ideal situation, which I really do think that Eddie and probably Matchroom are going for, is they want one of those. This is just my opinion. I just think that they want one of those domestic level super welterweights, because the depth at domestic level is higher than domestic level. Like Cheeseman, Fowler and Fitzgerald, for me, they're higher than domestic level, but because there's fantastic fights, they're kind of stuck there because everyone wants to see those fights. So I think that they're going to be trying so hard to try and get a world title from somewhere. Like, just make one of them fight for a vacant world title, get all the boxing politics. Like, Eddie will be working his nuts off to get one of them in the position. So hopefully one of them gets a world title. And then these domestic fights, they're still domestic fights, but now stick a world title involved on them. Because we'll be talking about a domestic world title fight in a bit, and that's going to be big. So imagine in 18 months' time, Ted Cheeseman versus Anthony Fowler for a version of a world title. It gets that little bit bigger. Do you agree, Jay?
Yeah, it does get a little bit bigger, but you can't always rely on that's going to happen. If Cheeseman could lose one of these fights or whatever. But no, I do agree with you. I think that is the way they're going. They're trying to get one of them a world title to then make these domestic fights a lot bigger, or even a European title, just to step it up from a British title level. But look, the fights are big. They're always going to be there. I hope all the guys get victories and get to the world level, so then we can see these sort of fights. But look, if you're not going to get a British domestic clash for Fowler, this is a perfect opponent for him, because, look, if he's going to fight for a vacant title, you need to fight some seasoned, tough, world-level operators, and this guy's been there. He's never been stopped. He's been in some big fights. So, look, if you're not going to get the domestic fight, I personally think maybe if he gets through this, they're probably going to look for maybe a big domestic fight on the AJ Usyk card, because that's going to be a big card.
Okay.
Maybe that's why some of these fights ain't been announced for bigger fights for this, because they're going to be some big undercard fights. You would have thought you might have got a Hughie Fury on here or something. I thought he was fighting at Fight Camp. You did say there's some to be announced. I'm not too sure if there's going to be any more announced, but obviously they're going to be planning for the AJ Usyk fight as well. So maybe that's why this Fight Camps took a bit of a hit with the big name wise. But I like all the names on there. Like this, like we come to some of the other shows for the week 2 and week 3, but it's just the casual fans. They're not going to really warm to this, and it's just something for people to say that Eddie ain't done it again, or Matchroom. But like I say, for $1.99, they're great shows. So I'm not going to moan one single bit about it. I'm quite happy.
Now for a very strange fight, a weird one, which I can't wait to get your opinion on. Anthony Yildirim versus Jack Cullen. Like, where did that come from? Like, obviously, I know we saw Yildirim's name on the pad, obviously the leaked photo whole scenario. But if we hadn't have seen that and they said Anthony Yildirim today, you'd be like, what? Anthony Yildirim, who just fought Canelo. He just fought Canelo. Now he's fighting Jack Cullen. And somehow it's like some crazy fight. Kenny, are you for this fight, or do you think this is just strange matchmaking?
Look, you know what's happening is that you've got to think about it. It's a win-win. You know, Anthony Yildirim is a big name in the middleweight division. You know, the fact that he's fought Canelo, the fact that he got bodied by Chris Eubank Jr. as well. He's fought a high level. You know, it is a coup, you know, to actually get him over it, and it's a good opportunity for Jack Cullen as well. And because Anthony Yildirim can't afford to lose his fight, he just can't afford to do it.
No, it's a must-win fight.
It's a must-win fight for Anthony Yildirim, because simple reason, he's got nowhere to go if he can't beat Jack Cullen. Jack Cullen, if I beat this guy, boom, I'm in a mix. He's virtually, you could say that he's in a mix, because it's a really good opportunity. I think in terms of like, we think that McCarthy and Bill Smith is going to be the fight of the night potentially, but in terms of like the fight that you're going to think, woo, where we come this from? I actually think in terms of like, you know, making maybe diehards and maybe the odd casual fan think, well, hang on here, what's going on here? Surely we saw him in Canelo. That will prick a few ears up as well, because you know, it's a must win. Another thing as well, you know, He's going to bring a big entourage with him. His manager is probably just as entertaining as him. So it's going to be something that's going to, you know, there's going to be beef. His manager's surely he's going to find beef that's not there, but there'll be beef between both camps, trust me. So it's fascinating. And it could be one of the things where I thought, no, this can't be happening. So I actually said Avi Yildirim, right? I know what he looks like. I mean, all right, it could be a different Avi Yildirim. So when I meet phone, it's him. And then when I saw Jack Cullen, I went, no way, mate. This is a massive opportunity for Jack Cullen, you know, which he's got to take at both ends. But Avi Yildirim, got to win it. Got to win it. Don't care how you do it. Got to win it. Take him out, boom, and then get yourself back into those big fights at this level. Lose, there's nowhere for you to go, mate. No. Seriously.
What, Jay? Do you think if Jack Cullen beats Avni Yildirim, like, what would that do for his career? That'd be like he was up. It's been an up and down couple of years for Cullen. I know you're a fan of him, but that would just accelerate his career to full throttle, which a pace that has never been at.
No, definitely. It's a big surprise, like you say. If we didn't see that Yildirim on the notepad, you definitely would have said, "Where's this fight come from?" But no, Kenny, there's definitely going to be some beef there. Obviously, meat cleaver, long lever, with Jack Cullen's nickname in that, so I'm sure he's going to bring a bit of beef. But no, don't write Jack Cullen off it. Do you know what I mean? We seen Yildirim. I think he's a big name, but I don't think he's a great fighter. In the Eubanks fight, I thought Eubanks bullied him, absolutely destroyed him, and I thought Canelo obviously done the same. So, is it got to Yildirim? He's had one fight it'd be about 2.5 years. Obviously, the Canelo fight was the fight he had, but before that, it's been a long time. I know that he got this fight because part of the Canelo deal, he was guaranteed another fight with Matchroom. That's what Eddie said. Yeah. So that's how this fight come about. So, look, this is a fun fight. This is a sort of fight that I'm really looking forward to because it's out in the blue, and I can see ways for Yildirim to win. He's experienced the way he's been there, but I can see ways for Cullen to win. Cullen can bang. He likes to scrap, and has Yildirim got the heart anymore? Do you know what I mean? That's it. I felt like when he went for the Canelo fight, it literally was for the payday. So has he been living life to the fullest? Not going to take Cullen seriously. I saw a comment a minute ago. I really wouldn't write Cullen off for this one. And if you want to do a bet, I'd slap a cheeky bet on that one. Really.
It'd be really interesting to see what the odds are like for that as well. For me, because obviously Cullen, great win over John Doherty, because I was a massive fan of John Doherty. I thought he was brilliant up until he fought Cullen. So that's a massive win for Cullen. Obviously got the draw against Chelly. That was at Fight Camp last year. But polar opposites. Like Avni Yildirim just come from fighting a huge stadium in this massive spectacle. Where was it? Was it Miami?
Yeah, Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami. They had the singer bring out Canelo. Is it? I don't know what the
that Colombian singer, I think.
Yeah, like massive with a Mexican audience. That whole event to now fighting in Fight Camp, it's going to be very different, and it'll be very interesting to see what Avni Yildirim's mentality is going into this fight, and that's why that could be a little sleeper, that one. And then we've also got Sandy Ryan making her professional debut, as well as Campbell Hatton's third professional fight. And just reading that out, look, we've had a 25-minute conversation about one card. Okay, we might not have the massive names on it, but there's some serious depth to that card. Like there's some quality fights, and I think that could be the difference between this new whole game change the zone thing. That it might not necessarily be one big fight that you're like wow, but it could be just a combination of loads of solid fights.
And they might be more entertaining, like Kenny said. It might be more entertaining than if you had the big names on there. So, look, don't write it off. Look, like I said, for $1.99, I'm happy with them cards. So,
I can't grumble. It's another thing as well. You've got to realise, right? it's on a you know it's a I think it's on a news platform, and it's trying to make stars. You know that you know when you I've always been a big supporter of fighters getting on TV. One of the things, because at the end of the day, you know, obviously when I was younger, it was very difficult for fighters to get on TV and get the TV slots, and especially when it's a terrestrial TV where you know they weren't showing the fighters live. So it's a good opportunity to make some stars and you know get their names noticed and blah, blah, and you know. Another thing as well, you've got to remember one thing as well. It's a good opportunity for fighters because you know they know their worth. Obviously, because of people like Sam Jones and obviously MTK, who are brilliant for fighters. They're going to want more money. You know what I mean? So you know Eddie's probably thought, right, you know, DAZN are giving me, promising me like a bigger budget than what I had at Sky. Plus, you know, I'll have more input as well. So again, that this is a good opportunity for a good payday. Again, Yildirim as well. You know, he's going to want a payday as well. But again, if he wants a bigger payday, he's got to win. He's got to win. He's got to win. Win well. There's opportunities. You know, super middleweight. You know, for you know, have one. You know, have another shot.
He's got a good world ranking, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Cullen will take his world ranking if Cullen wins, so it's a big opportunity for Cullen. It's life changing.
Yeah. So again,
and that's the whole thing, opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's all about opportunity, and you know, casual boxing fans. Say yourself to a casual boxing fan. You know, they may not know who you are now, but you put in a good performance and get talked about. Yeah, they'll find you because it won't be on Sky, and Sky probably won't even take any notice of it anyway because it's not on their channel, but. You know, word does get around, and then you know, with YouTube channels now, and the fact that you know Eddie still got contacts with the BBC. The BBC, you know, will be definitely putting it on their radio stations. BBC, you know, it's Fight Life. So again, good opportunity.
And look at the weekend. You had YouTube versus TikTok, and they were charging UK fans £41 to watch that. £41. So for £1.99 to watch this, look, you got to you just pill it side by side. It's great bit of boxing by Matchroom.
Yeah, and as I said, another thing as well, it's an opportunity as well. It's a good opportunity. You know, obviously fans who have watched boxing on Sky are going to think, well, hang on here, I really enjoy Fight Camp. All right, I might go over now to watch it because I'm designing. How much? £1.99. All right, go on then. I'm going to watch it on my laptop. All right, let's
just be 1 second, gents. 1 second.
No problem.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you know, I completely agree, Kenny.
And you've got to think about the bigger picture as well. You know, the Euros be finished by then. You know, you Wimbledon be finished by then. So you know, it's sport on TV, isn't it? And it's a week before the football comes back.
There you go. Like that. Hopefully, they could coincide with one another. Work out, obviously. Euros at the minute. Hopefully we'll be on a high from that. But that's a whole another scenario. When Jay gets back, we'll move on to the second show. For me, I've got to say, Kenny, the main event of the second show is probably the fight I'm most looking forward to.
I'm getting up now. Kid Galahad.
Kid Galahad versus.
Anyway, if you can't look forward to a Kid. You can't look forward to a Kid Galahad fight. Something's wrong with you. Yeah, Kid Galahad. You know what I mean? And that's a fighter. That's a fighter that I've always kept my eye on. I've always thought, you know what? When is it going to happen for this guy? When is it going to happen? Because he's always, you know, over the years, loved the way he's fight. Loved his style. You know what I mean? And you know, he's someone I'm a massive fan of. Massive fan of his fighting style. I love how he fights, you know what I mean? But it's just one of those things where, you know, he's got that kind of Sheffield style of boxing, you know what I mean? You know that you know those ones who like showman style, you know, like
the Ingle style.
You know what? Oh yeah, you can't hit me, but I can hit you. That kind of style. Which, to be honest, fight fans, even to be able to have that kind of you know thing, you're gonna have to be able to, you know, like I said, you know, pull it off. And you have to have something about you. You have to have power. You have to have skill, and you've got to put bums on seats to you know. Because, for instance, you can argue that, you know, there's a few people at the Ingle gym. You know, poor old Johnny Nelson himself. he had all of that difficult hit, but let's face it, he wasn't putting many bums on seats. Harold Graham, poor old Harold Graham as well. You know what I mean? So it's fights like that where, you know, he's one of the people for me that does put bums on seats, and obviously I think he's still a bit pissed off about some of the language, ladies and gentlemen. But the Josh Warrington fight would have annoyed him. You know,
of course.
Because, you know, it's a split decision, but he would have thought I'd probably done enough to, you know, win it. And he probably thought, because Josh Warrington was a champion, you know, I didn't, you know, I got left out. So again, it's a fight where he thinks, right, boom, let me showcase my talents, and then I can knock on the door. Because remember, you know, Josh, has just lost to Lara. Josh is trying to get his mojo back. He's going to think, right, I want some of that. I want a rematch. Because you have to, because, you know, I've just seen Josh is going to feel, you know, his fight. It's Lara in the rematch, isn't it? In Leeds, is it Lara? He's fighting the rematch.
Yeah,
so it's going to be
September.
Yeah, September.
I'm here in September.
So late December, January, or maybe February next year is a fight where he could, you know, look for his rematch against a Warrington. Again, that will get numbers, especially on design, because, you know, Warrington, you know, is a matchroom fighter, and so's Kid Galahad as well. So there's no reason why those two can't fight.
You're getting a little bit of stick here, Kenny. I've got to say, W. Riley says Galahad put bum on seats. Have a word, mate. So I don't know. I just feel like Galahad is definitely one in the Who Needs Him club.
I can see what he's saying, because the simple reason is that he's looked at the fact it's Engel fighters, and they're very much you know, like avoiders, and it's like punch and like that. And I do get where he's come from, but there's a school of, there are fans who do get excited about his fight because of his fighting style, because he can bang as well.
Yeah. But what about Jazza Dickens, Kenny? I think he's obviously coming off some great form, winning the Golden Contract, now being guided by Tony Bellew. He's fell short a couple of times against high-level operators, one being Kid Galahad in the past. 8 years later, it was for a British title, now it's for a world title. And that is what makes it incredibly interesting. Come full circle. Has he got a chance, Kenny?
Look, he's always got a chance, but the simple reason is that, you know, he's a game fighter, and he's in good form, what we call in boxing. He's got a good, you know, like I said, records of wins behind him. However, in terms of what Kid Galahad, again, it's a fight he daren't lose. He daren't lose. He'll have to be prepared. But again, when you put someone in for a chance, you know, it's a world title as well. There's no messing about there. There's no messing about. It's now and ever for, you know, Jazza. Now and ever for Jazza, because you know, this opportunity won't come for a long time. And he'll have to jump through a lot of hoops to get this opportunity. So again, he's got to be ready. He's got to be ready, and he's got to find ways to win this fight. It's not a case of him just looking good and, you know, making a good account of himself. No, this isn't like you know, like I said, the FA Cup 5th round where, you know, Chelsea are playing Grimsby and Grimsby put up a good fight, but Grimsby still lose. No, this is you got to go to win. Got to go win. But for me, Kid Galahad is my favourite for that fight.
And favourite. I've got to add though that he's earned his position. Like, they've both earned their position. It's for the vacant title. They've both worked their way up the IBF rankings. Obviously, Warrington was ordered to fight Galahad. Vacation of the title. That's why this is for the vacant. And now Jazza Dickens can step in, gets his opportunity. His opportunity to become a world champion. And yeah, he probably is the favourite in Kid Galahad. Kid Galahad is probably the favourite. He's shown his boxing acumen. He had an incredibly close fight with Josh Warrington, a fight that many people thought he won. And I'm really intrigued.
I'm not in that
camp. Kenny.
I'm not in that camp that 41. I generally, you know, thought that you know, Josh Warrington did more than enough to win that fight. Again, you look at it's all objective, but I always say that sometimes, if you don't let your hands go in the early rounds, basically, from what I've seen in fights, you tend to win these fights in the first few rounds, the first six. The first six is what sets up the sort of builds up the points, and then it still stays in the judges' minds. Sometimes when I see fighters trying to come back, yes, it may work, but sometimes it's too late. You only have to look at Eubank all those years ago against Billy Joe Saunders in 2014.
Prime example.
Prime example. He was like, he was a bit confused. He was beaten to the punch, and then when he let his hands go, from about 7 onwards, it was just too late because Billy Joe Saunders was making himself difficult to hit. Yes, he was caught, but all too late for me. All too late, and I think that's the situation where Jezza Dickens, he has to get the rounds in and wins the rounds early for him to even have a foothold in the fight.
Right. So you're saying that Jazza has got to put it on Galahad, which is something that's hard to do.
It's going to be hard to do, but he's got no choice because the simple reason is that you don't want Kid Galahad to build up the points win. You know what I mean? You don't want the fact that he's to box you out of the fight. You don't want him to, use his jab, use his combinations and make himself difficult to beat. And then by round 5, you went, oh God, I've got to start now. That's too late. You've got to, Jazza is, obviously he's got to put it in, but he's got to nick the rounds. He's got to make the impression. He's got to beat him to the punch. You know what I mean? He's got to be the eye catcher. You know what I mean? Remember Congo and McKinson? Look what happened there. Congo was the overwhelming favourite, but what's happened? McKinson with his, southpaw stance took him by surprise, and it was him who was
come out and put it on him. But he was beating to the punch. He was catching him, and he was thinking, whoa, and then by the time Congo tries to get back in the fight, it's too late. You know what I mean? And you can't leave through the chance, especially against someone. Like Kigan, I regard as a very good boxer. Next fight on the card. This one is on the 7th of August, but it is Maxime Prodan. This is another interesting one. Maxime Prodan, obviously been fighting a lot for Matchroom Italy. He's 19-0-1. He's high up in the IBF rankings. And he's fighting Florian Marku. And I was shocked when I heard about this fight.
Well, I think what's happened is that in terms of Florian Marku, he's been calling out Conor Benn.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a big payday for, Florian Marku. But if you look at Florian Marku's opponents, and I say it's a great respect, they haven't been at the highest caliber. And let's face it, he got a draw, which I had no complaints about.
With Jamie Stewart.
Yeah, no complaints about that one. And then in another fight, he got hurt, got buzzed a few times. Eventually,
against Ryland Charlton, that one.
Charlton, he gets hurt very badly, but he manages to use his power and see him off. But this is where, if Florian Marku wants these big fights and big paydays, he's got to step it up. He's got to step it up, and this is a good opportunity. He's got a fight. He's fighting a fighter who's got a lot of experience. Yes, he's on, he's fought in Italy, but again, sometimes you look at his fights, you don't know about him, you watch him a bit, but sometimes you look at what level of fighters is he fighting in Italy?
Has he been fighting? Yeah,
because you only have to look at the situation with Joshua Buatsi. His last fight when he fought I think when he fought, who was it again?
Dos Santos.
So he fights the French fighter. He's a zero. He's lost no fights. But as soon as you got in the ring, you saw there's a differentiation in class.
Christopher Lovejoy.
Yeah.
Like Christopher, 19 fights, 19 first round KOs, and then when he went in with Manuel Char, obviously his first big fight, he got found out.
And that's the thing. It's about quality. Sometimes you have to. It's a quality of opponent, and I think that's where Marku has to make a good impression because he has to. If he doesn't want to have a situation where it's going to be a laboured points win, or he does it late at night. He has to go at him and take him out, really take him out, and make a notice. But he ain't fighting Conor Benn anytime soon. The reason why, because Conor Benn is in a different direction to him. He can use his name to build him up, and get these fights. But We're talking 2 or 3 years from even fighting Conor Benn, and that's providing that he's bringing something to the table, because Conor Benn is going to be in 3 years' time. We hope is going to be a world champion who's made about 3 or 4 defenses by then.
And Mark, who's 3 years older than Ben.
Yeah, so Marco's obviously going to have to get a move on, and he's probably agrees, says, "Oh, I've had to do it the hard way." Yeah, you probably have to do it the hard way, but you have to wait your turn, mate. You have to wait your turn and earn your spurs, especially in this country. I know he's going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm a guest in this country, and they're going to get opportunity." Well, you've got your opportunity. And you can't. There's no bigger opportunity than first of all, fighting for with Matchroom, and then secondly, Fight Camp as well, which is a big, massive thing with boxing.
Yeah,
which is something that everyone was talking about last year, and everyone is killing themselves to get on. So this is a fantastic opportunity for the man. Fantastic.
Yeah, spot on. Next fight, Alan the Savage Babic, hot off his win on Saturday against Damian Chambers. He's fighting Mark Bennett, Kenny. Mark Bennett, I think he got to the final of the Boxer tournament and then lost to Nick Webb.
Yeah, that's right.
Apart from that, he's won all of his other 7 fights. He's 7-1, and he's coming up against the Babic, the Savage.
Well, yeah. Again, I say it's a great respect of Mark Bennett. When I see fighters like Wardley and Babic, who Dillian White fighters, I always say there's fights, right, and then there's target practice. And what I mean by target practice is that when you get these kind of opponents, you basically try out what you've been doing in training, and you might as well use this opponent like the fans will like you bang him out quickly, but your trainer would like to say, right, try this style and do this, what we're doing in training. And I think that's and I say the great respect to Bennett, he could be target practice, because at the end of the day, they're trying to build up Babic. Personally, as we said last week, we think he's a bridge weight. There's no way he's a heavyweight, but he's making a name for himself. And, this is a fight that, he's got, that I can't see going anything more than 5 rounds. I really can't see it happening. Really can't.
Okay.
It'll be game, but nah, not for me, nah.
It's key to this, though, activity. Obviously, he was out in Newcastle for Babic. Is it important that he gets out and out and out? Because he does have his critics, and this is a bigger heavyweight. Mark Bennett's a bigger heavyweight than Chambers. So it's a hard one. It's a hard one. It's hard to match Babic.
The reason why it's hard to match Babic is because simple reason is that no one really wants to fight him, because simple reasons they know full well they're there to lose and there to make him look good. So they're not going to want to fight him, and they're going to want a lot of money. And it's what this deal with DAZN's about. Everyone assumes, right, when you talk about boxing, right, that the fight it's just big fighters who actually want big money. It's actually fighters down the chain. They want pain, because simple reason is that they're the ones that you need probably just as much as your headliners. Because without these guys who've got the experience, got credible-ish records, you can't have a bill. You can't find fights for the Babic and the Wardleys, because they're running. They're going to want pain. You know what I mean? And that is why power. If Eddie Hearn's saying it's because I need to pay my fighters more and have a bigger budget, all power to him. But but really and truly, Babic is there is going to be situations where you've got to build him up. That he's going to fight. He's fighting now, Bennett. Eventually, in a year's time, you want a situation where he's fighting better opponents. With something, fight for a kind of fight for a title. Like I said, international title, intercontinental title, fight for European title. Something where there's a chance of him losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what you're saying is got to get to a point where Babbage is going to be tested.
Well, definitely.
Because,
you all right, I'm not comparing it to Anthony Joshua, but there was always a situation when Anthony Joshua fought, he was fighting fighters, like I said, he was fighting unbeaten Scottish guys, which is not in his league, and never going to beat him. He fighting
Gary Cornish.
Gary Cornish. Sorry, Gary. And then obviously, he fought Sprott. Never, he was way past it. You know what I mean? He's fighting all these old timers, and then all of a sudden he went, right, let's get a live fighter. That live fighter happened to be Dillian Whyte.
Dillian Whyte, yeah.
And from fighting Dillian Whyte, he's only fought at world level now. Beats Dillian Whyte 7 rounds. He's only ever fought for world titles, either winning it or getting another belt, regaining it, and regaining the belt. So that's the sort of thing that you're going to have to want eventually for some, the Wardleys and the Babbage, get them a live fight. But at the moment, it's all about building up their profile and building up their portfolio of wins, and that it shouts into, you know what I mean. And I think that's what Dillian's trying to do with his fighters.
Well, Fabio Wardley's also on the card.
Yeah.
His opponent hasn't been announced yet, as well as Ellie Scotney and Aqib Fiaz. Aqib Fiaz is one of my favourite prospects, I must admit. So their opponents are yet to be announced, but we have got 2 more full fights announced, and that is Ebony Bridges in her comeback fight against Beck Connolly. Beck Connolly always game against being chucked in past opponents. She's got a full camp this time, Kenny.
With Beck Connolly. Well, I think that's the thing. Beck Connolly, she's right. Let's face it, she's always been sent in the back with a broken cricket bat. She's always been, because she's never had a proper camp. She's always been an opponent where basically she runs out of steam, she gets hurt, and then she either loses widely on points or she gets stopped. So again, I see it, and Eddie says, right, Ebony, you've shouted, and you basically went outside my front window, shouted, "No, I've got you this fight. This is a game opponent." Obviously, she's had a few losses by her arm, but she's fit, and she's game, and she's going to be a durable opponent for you. So again, it's.
Oh, we've just lost Kenny. Hopefully, Kenny will be back. But we just talking about Fight Camp Night 2, Ebony Bridges versus Beck Connolly. And look, here we have it. He's back in the room. He's back in the room.
There? It's like, I didn't press nothing.
Neither did I. Technology, Aiken.
The technology. But as I was saying before, Ebony Bridges, again, if she wants a world title fight, she's got to bomb this woman, bomb her out. And I mean, bomb her out. You know what I mean? Because it's not just about her putting bums in seats and getting future dates with Matchroom. Because obviously, but it's again getting that world title fight. Who knows if Rachel Ball, has got a long-term illness where she's not going to be fully fat, because before she fights Shannon Courtney, she can't, she's got to have a couple of warm-up fights now before she fights.
Essentially, yeah.
So
again, she be a point where she hasn't been out for a long time as well. I know she was out, I think, last November. But if this keeps on coming, then it will be a point where you can't just go straight in for this world title shot with Shannon Courtney, because it's a big fight. Yeah.
So this is a very, 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 very massive opportunity for Ebony Bridges to win well here, and then maybe just have one more fight. And who knows? December rematch against Shannon Courtney. Because I know Rachel Ball's been, like I said, been pushed for that. But again, it's we've expected Rachel Ball to come back, probably since like April, and
but since before April, really. I think they was talking about a February show. I thought at the start, and then that won't happen. But Kenny, if we do get the return of the Rachel Ball we know, and the Rachel Ball that beat Shannon Courtney last year at Fight Camp, in the rematch, would it be repeat or revenge?
See, that's a good question, because Rachel Ball's a very, very good fighter, and she's an awkward style. She's quick, and you know, like I said, she's proved she can bang as well. Bang. But then Shannon Courtney's really, really improved since she's lost, you know, that title. He he got her first loss against Ball. She's not fighting emotionally. Plus, she does throw her hands about, and she does throw a lot of combinations. She hits really hard. And and the thing is, all right, Rachel Ball's a taller fighter, but the thing with Shannon Courtney is that when she's on top of you, you know, if Shannon Courtney could just get a few more body punches, then maybe that's the key to the fight. But she has to be prepared, you know, to do that. She may risk maybe overhand, you know, rights and overhand lefts. So it's something she's got to take into consideration. But it's not. I'm not convinced, as I was before, that Rachel Ball win the rematch, because I'm not sure, because seeing Shannon Courtney's improvement and her performance against Emily Bridges as well. Yeah, don't get me wrong. She took a few really good shots, but she also put on Emily Bridges, and she fought well. Her combinations really good. So again, another thing as well, it's, you know, obviously you don't want to use any excuses, but you know, she's a fresher fighter than Rachel Ball, fresher, and I think that is going to, you know, and she's got her fitness as well. I can see Shannon Courtney getting revenge. I really can. I don't think it'll be a stoppage, but if anyone's going to be put down, I think this time it's probably going to be Rachel Ball this time. Only because of the fact that I think Shannon Courtney's really, really improved. And I just worry about Rachel Ball in terms of, like, you know, the long-term effects. Because clearly something's wrong.
And I think there's a back injury as well now.
Yeah.
I do think there's which I don't even know how it works, but she may have, because athletes, obviously, I'm not a high level athlete myself, but I'd imagine that athletes have a rhythm. They need to be working out, which they do, because it's consistent, especially boxers and athletes that live the life. And if she's been unable to follow that regime, and then when she gets back to it, her body might not be used to it.
Well,
anymore.
It's again, you know, there's a lot of shoulder work with boxers. So, for instance, you know, like they're doing deadlifts, you know, and they do it for their back. They're doing, you know, rows as well. They're sort of doing, like I said, dumbbell rows, or sometimes even doing bar rows. So that's another thing they're doing. Obviously, the thing where they, you know, you get in the sort of chopper and chopping it down, all for the. In order to, that's so basic. When they're throwing punches, they don't have a situation where they have, like fighters cramp. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's a huge camp, because, you know, it's, you know, I think the reason why they train hard like this is because, you know, they want the rewards in the fight, especially when, you know, in the sort of championship rounds when you're tired. You know what I mean? And that's what you're training for. And, you know, it's one of the things, if she because of she's been out for a long time, there's going to be the odd niggle here and there. But again, it's a fight.
She needs a fight.
It's a fight. I really look forward to it. But, you know, Rachel Ball knows, you know, she's going to want to probably, you know, get at Shannon as quickly as possible. But I personally think that there's no rush, really no rush, especially if you now got you know, come back from COVID and, you know, an injury you've got. What's the rush? The fights. Shannon Courtney's going nowhere. You know, that's all. There's always going to be a rematch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. You know? And the last fight announced on this second show is Johnny Fisher versus Josh Sandon. And I must admit, I really like this one. I think it's a good step up for the Romford Bull. Johnny Fisher. It's Johnny Fisher's third fight, and he's fighting Josh Sandon, who actually lost to Mark Bennett in the boxer tournament. Yeah. Since then, he's only fought once against Jose Ladruet, and he did lose that, but it's a step up for Johnny Fisher. It's only his third fight, remember? So come through this. If you come through it comfortably, again, it's about progression. It's about slow and steady. He's still very young, Johnny Fisher. He shows to me a lot of promise.
That's the thing. It's about, is this an opportunity? Just get yourself out there. You know, like I said, get the rounds in. You know, like I said, you know, come back. And it's all about building up, building yourself up. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, it's firstly you've got to win, but, you know, I think he's going to want to do, you know, showcases something as well, because like obviously, if I was his coach, it's all about doing the things we've been doing in training. Like I said, if the opportunity is there, take the opportunity. But then you've got to promote like Eddie Hearn went, come on, mate, put a show on for me, mate. If you put a show on for me, but there's future cars. Remember, I've got this like 16 dates. You can have one of my dates if you do this and that. So he's got to marry that up between like I said, putting being a crowd pleaser and doing the things in training. So in that respect, good opportunity for Johnny Fisher.
Fantastic. And guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. Let us know what you think in the comments. What fights are you looking forward to for Fight Camp? It's not that far away. It's only just over 6 weeks away. And then we get a 3-week extravaganza. And moving on to the last week of Fight Camp. Many opponents haven't been announced yet, as, 9 weeks away from the fight. But it's headlined by Joshua Buatsi, in no doubt his hardest fight to date, against Ricardo Bolotkins. Bolotniks. Yeah. And people know Bolotniks from comfortably winning the Golden Contract. The MTK Gold, he comfortably won it. What a fight that is. And I'm shocked that Buatsi's taking this fight. I genuinely am.
Well, the thing about it is that he's got no choice but to take this fight. He's got no, because simple reason. Again, he needs to sort of make an impression. Because you've got to remember, the fighters like the Bivals, Bebetievs, all they'll be looking and thinking, right. Obviously, we want to fight. They want to fight each other, but also they'll be thinking, you know what? It's got to be worth my while. Said it's going to be a situation, like a Canelo thing. Who have you fought? You fight nobody. Well, Buatsi, this is a situation where Buatsi he's fighting someone, really big. He's won he's won the contract, and it's a situation where Buatsi, if he looks good there, he's going to make a look. People are going to take notice. Plus, a good thing about that is that, Bolotniks, it's got nothing to lose. Got nothing to lose. This is nothing to lose. You know what I mean? And this is a situation.
He's dangerous as well.
Yeah.
He's so dangerous. He's heavy hitting.
Yeah.
He showed against Jose Alberton the type of fighter he is, and wow, I'm just shocked we're seeing this fight. And I think this one's probably the fight that's probably going to go under the radar the most. And I think people aren't going to understand how big of a fight this is for Joshua Buatsi.
Well, they're not. They're going to expect George Trubachi, because of what he's done before, to basically put Bolotniks away. But again, you don't know with the situation. Remember, Buatsi's like I said, he's gone away. He's training in the United States, got a new trainer and everything. So again, it's one of those things where it's a case of doing what I've got to do to win the fight, but also. What's my new trainer, training me? And sometimes I do worry when fighters train trainers, because sometimes, right, I understand that, you want your trainer to bring something from you and basically, correct your mistakes. But sometimes I look at a fighter like Buatsi, who's basically, obviously, there's a lack of experience, but technically there isn't much wrong with what he's doing. There isn't much wrong. He picks his moments. He gets his distance right. Like I said, he times his shots, and that's where he gets his power. But obviously, he thinks there's certain things that he needs to learn. And I think, you know what? Just take the guy out. Take him out.
Yeah.
Take him out.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? Because you can't learn everything just from one camp. When you're with a trainer, it evolves. You know what I mean? It evolves. And you try and win the fight, and then what will happen is that your trainer gets to look at you in the fight, and that's how when he can actually develop you. Because I look at a lot of fighters, because all right, they didn't take long, right? But like Shane McGuigan and Dubois, right? It was a case of Shane McGuigan just getting him fit and just saying, right, let me have a look at you, blah blah, and then All right, it was they're only together for like a few weeks. Obviously, Joshua Buatsy's been with his new channel, United States, for a long time, a few months here and there, and I expect that.
What a trainer as well, Virgil Hunter, by the way.
Yeah,
what
Virgil
a trainer.
One of the best in the business. But Virgil Hunter's only going to learn what properly what Buatsy needs by looking at this fight, and that's where they can evolve. Training camps are just what they are. Training camps. It's but and that's the thing. You only learn. For instance, if I was your football trainer, I could teach you the game and tell you what I would need, but I ain't going to know how good you are until you've
until I'm on the pitch
to actually develop your game until I see you in a match. And I think that's the thing where I want Buatsy to just get in there, do what he does best, little bit of fine tuning, and then evolve. And that's why I don't want him taking any risks or messing around with like new techniques. Get him out of there.
Yeah,
get him out of there.
If he comes through Bolotniks, does he go for a world title, Kenny? Is it world title next? Yeah.
Yes, because simple reason is that don't waste time. Don't waste time, because there's loads of fighters out there who are definitely waiting their time. You've got to remember there's situations where you've got fighters like our domestic fighters, our domestic fighters. Anthony Yard, he's had 2 shots. He's had a shot at the world title. He's going to want to have a go. Lyndon Arthur is thinking, well, hang on here. You're not promoting me, right? Because hang on here, Anthony Yard, I want to go. And then you've got Callum Johnson as well. And
Callum Johnson. Craig Richards is still about.
Spider Richards as well. So again, it's one of those things where it's that he needs a headlining performance where basically he still fights for the title. Because I still think I think that next fight he's ready. I think he's more than ready now. More than ready.
What world champion would you choose? You've got Joe Smith Jr., you've got Dmitry Bivol, and you've got Artur Beterbiev. They hold the 4 belts. Obviously, Beterbiev has 2. But if it was down to you and you was matchmaking Joshua Buatsi, what world champion would you look to fight?
They're bloody all good, isn't it? They're good fighters.
They're all good.
They're really good, really good fighters. And because I think the fight I don't want to fight is Bivol. I don't want that one.
Oh, really?
Bivol's too heavy-handed. I'll probably want. You know what? I know you looked at Bivol and you thought, when he fought Spider Richards, like that, like Spider Richards gave him a good big fight. But I just thought there was timing issues with Bivol. You know what I mean? Because of he hasn't fought for a long time. And it's one of the situations where there was a good chance to make an impression. I think that Bivol in his next fight those timing issues are going to be eradicated. So I like Bebetiev. You know what? I don't see him. I'll put him with Bebetiev. I don't see him. Why not? Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I love Beterbiev. I think he's an amazing beast.
I love him as well. I love all the champions, but I just think, you know what? I just look at Bivol and I just think, nah, not really. It's not. Someone. It's someone I'm thinking. I know what you're thinking in terms of experience. Bebetiev may be too early for him, but Bivol is too heavy. I find him heavy-handed. You know what I mean? Not that Joshua Buatsi is not heavy-handed, because he's bloody heavy-handed. He's got hands of stone. But again, it's a situation where, I prefer Bebetiev for him.
I think the thing is that I think they will go for the Bivol fight. Just because I think it makes the most sense. They're both obviously promoted with Eddie Hearn, and Joe Smith Jr. and Beterbiev are with Top Rank, and I don't think the relationship's probably at their best at the minute between Top Rank and Matchroom. And as well as that, Buatsi's been fighting for the WBA international light heavyweight title a few times, and obviously Bivol holds the super version of the WBA title. So to me, it just makes sense. But I understand what you're saying about the whole Bivol, Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr. And I think that Bob Arum will surely want to do a unification for Smith, Jr. and Beterbiev. Surely they'd want to make that. So then they've got one champion. Then hopefully hopefully we're in a position where if Joe Smith Jr. and Beterbiev fight each other, the winner comes out and they're like, look, Eddie, let's make up.
Yeah.
Let's make an undisputed fight. Because for me, a light heavy undisputed title fight isn't that far out the equation for me. It's not as far out as some of the other weight divisions.
Well, the thing about it is that because there's so many, the thing about it is that we're at domestic level, we're really, really strong. You know, all of those fighters, right, are candidates to fight for world titles for me. They're all candidates. All you know, there's a case for all of them to fight for a world title, and we've got 4 brilliant, light heavyweights, brilliant ones. Yard I rate really highly, although I had Lyndon Arthur beating him comfortably on points. Lyndon Arthur is someone I rate really high. Like Callum Johnson, massive fan, and then Spider Richards as well. So they're all top fighters. Then we've got Joshua as well. We're strong, we're strong in that situation. You know what I mean? Obviously, I want a derby, but I don't think that's going to happen, man. I don't think any unless the money's right or unless one of them's holding a title, I don't see any of my dream derby matches.
No. Who's the best out of all 5 of them? If we go Richards, Johnson, Buatsi, Yard, and Arthur, at this point, who would you say is the best out of all 5?
The best jabs, Lyndon Arthur by a mile. The person who hits the hardest is probably Callum Johnson. The person who's got the explosive style is Anthony Yard. Yeah, the boxer. And the one who I think is technically correct is Buatsi.
So they've all got to be. You're creating your perfect fighter here, Ken.
And Richards again is there's more improvement in the lads, more scope for improvement. So really and truly, they're all 50-50 fights. They're all 50-50 fights. Obviously because we hear more about Anthony Yard in terms of like BT Sport and Frank Warren, and obviously Eddie Hearn and Joshua Buatsi. So obviously people will think they're the bigger heavyweights, but Callum Johnson, he can hit hard, really hard. And Lyndon Arthur, that jab, what we've seen coming back into big fights is that jab, and that seems to have decide the fate of some big fights. Yard against Arthur, and obviously Dubois against Joyce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, and then again you've got the world level. Smith Jr. Like Bivol and Bobetiev. So
but they don't seem that far away from it. That whole domestic scene obviously is higher than domestic level because they're not that far away from world contention. And you said that you think they could be world title candidates, like
easily.
Exactly. It's just Britain's always had a strong crop of light heavyweights. I think, like we've had quite a few world champions. Obviously, going back to days like of John Conte. Yeah, exactly. Like Tony Bellew coming through.
Yeah, definitely Tony Bellew, Nathan Cleverly as well.
Mate, we've had loads, and that's why be good to see Buatsi come through this in a very, very tough fight on August the 14th against Bolotniks, and then get through to a world title fight. But we'll just very quickly, Kenny, go through the last of the fights on this card because most of them haven't been announced, the opponents. So we've got Savannah Marshall. She's having a fight. Opponent to be announced. We've got Michael Mickinson versus Ranowski.
McKinson again. He's a fight. Obviously, we know about McKinson because his fight, the last outing against Chris Congo, it was the southpaw style. But what it was is that he let his hands go, and it was where he actually the backhand. Getting the backhand punches in and out. So he's one of it was like basically like getting a toy from behind and just going, and he comes out. And he comes out. And I think some guys go,
little key at the back, just turn him around and just go bang.
And that's the thing. It's a very like interesting style, and it's at Southpaw, which makes it even more confusing. But again, it's a very, very good opportunity for opportunity. And then we got Tasha Jonas as well.
Tasha Jonas on it. Felix Cash.
Yeah, Felix Cash, another one. Felix Cash obviously came from
supremely talented,
big win over Denzel Bentley. So again, that's something fight again. So Felix Cash be looking at Jack Cullen thinking, hang on, I wouldn't mind a piece of Yildirim myself. You know what I mean?
There you go.
But you know what I mean. So it's one of those things where it's an opportunity. Felix Cash, now sees himself at probably European level. I think it's not really world level yet, but again, one fight,
not far off.
One fight, one excellent performance could put you in there. But again, it's good opportunities. Natasha Jonas as well. She's had two stabs at a world title. She gave a good account of herself against Katie Taylor, but Katie Taylor was probably about a couple of rounds better than her, and it showed in the fight. And then obviously, a previous shot at world title as well. Again, it was a draw, but a lot of people thought because she hurt, she buzzed, Terry Harper, that maybe she could have won the fight. So it's something she can talk about. But again, there's still mileage in her because at the end of the day, she's still going to have ambitions of finally winning that world title. So it's a good situation. Again, it's another thing as well. It's a good opportunity for her to get a good payday if what Eddie's saying is true.
We've got a question coming in for you, Ken. Pavel Sahota says, Kenny, do you think Johnny Fisher can become a future world heavyweight champion?
You can never ever say never. The reason why I can never say never, because I'll tell you one thing, right? When I first saw Tyson Fury fight, I knew there was talent there, but I just thought, yes. I never thought. I thought, yeah, I know he's very quick at this level, blah blah. But is he serious? Is he going to take it seriously? Who has he fought? He hasn't fought anyone. And then all of a sudden, when you pull up these levels and put him against better fighters, that's when you see the best of him. And there's no reason why Johnny Fisher can't do the same. It's all about building him up. It's very easy to say, a fighter that looks good is going to be a world champion, and then it doesn't happen for him, i.e. by an injury. Someone like Anthony Ogogo. I had big votes for him, but injuries didn't happen for him. Back in 1968, Chris Finnegan wins a gold medal for Great Britain. In terms of when it gets to world title level, missed out. John Conte again, he had eye issues as well. So you just don't know. You don't know, but it's all about building them up and learning their trades. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
The only person who I thought would be a world champion, that was Anthony Joshua when he fought in the Olympics, and you could just tell
he had that style. He had that style where it just like everything about him. You watched 2012, like I can't believe what is it like. So it's like 9 years ago now. I can't even believe that's like 9 years ago, and you just saw it like, yeah, that's a world champion in the making.
Yeah,
but obviously, even then, you'd have doubts because he may have stuff like obviously. You just don't know what's around the corner. We don't want to, like, obviously, going back to, like, football with Christian Eriksen, what happened on Saturday, like, who would have predicted that? Like, who knows what's around the corner?
You don't know what's around the corner, and that's the thing. Injuries, or loss, personal problems as well. But, so you just have to take time to time. But, Dave, we'll know more in about a couple of years when we see him fight more. And then, caliber, firstly, I'd just like to see if he can win a British title first. And then when it's a British title level, then after a British title level, we would like to see him in you'd like to see him in bigger fights.
Yeah.
So watch this space, mate. Watch this space.
Watch the space. And to finish up, Kenny, been through the whole card. A lot of fights we spoke about. But what fight are you most looking forward to over the whole 3 weeks?
Yeah,
if you had to pick one, If you had to pick one, I go, Kenny, give me one fight, mate. What one would it be?
Bilham Smith and McCarthy.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Bilham Smith and McCarthy. That is a fight. Definitely, I like the look of. For me, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, there's a few ones for me. Bilham Smith McCarthy, 100% up there. I like Cullen Yildirim just because he's so interesting.
Cullen Yildirim. It's one of those things where you think, what's going on here? But but you look at it and sometimes you say, which one's this 50-50 fight? Which one's going to get me out of the seat? And I just think, right, this is a fight where Cullen, Bilham Smith and McCarthy. It's a fight which I'm thinking, I like the look of that.
It's so hard to call as well. It's so hard to call.
And that's the thing. I think that's what we want with Fight Camp is at least a couple of fights which are hard to call, because again it's about getting the opponents. Remember, and again you've got your headliner, but he or she hasn't got an opponent. So it's one of those things where you've got to get an opponent who's basically actively training, and like I said, and someone who's gonna be reasonable with what they're asking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. Thank you for joining me today, Kenny. Talking about, I know football is on. Football's on. Taking time out of the football, the Euro schedule, the heavy Euro schedule.
Heavy.
And
that's something. This is probably like lifting the Euro Championship schedule is probably like lifting basically like me bench pressing 100, maybe 180 180 kilograms. You know what I mean?
It's certainly one of them things, though, isn't it? It's the Euros, the World Cup. You've always got to watch it. You've always, especially obviously me and you, football fans.
Yeah, but let's remember that's why we're in Fight Camp on the end of July.
Exactly.
No Wimbledon.
Exactly.
No Wimbledon. No European Championships. No Open Golf. British, the Golf Open. You know what I mean? So again, no excuses. And the football season hasn't started. So you know what I mean? So it's very well done. And then you go, I think Eddie's, he's got to make sure that he delivers, with his American fighters as well in his American shows. So again, that's another thing. But as he said with the zone, when he was trying to sell it, some of these fighters, I think what it is that it's not because he's got not just a bigger budget that Eddie's got to work with, but again, he's going to want to get these fighters in America because in terms of the promotion, the sponsorship for boxing, because it's a bigger country and a bigger market, that's probably where the fighters can earn a lot more money as well.
Yeah.
Rather than competing for golf, cricket, Formula One, and obviously the football.
No,
what I mean?
It's a big opportunity, and I actually can't wait to see. And I can't wait. Obviously, we're going to get news on the broadcast team, which is a whole other conversation. But I do want to just pop this straight back up. This last thing, Kirkland Lang, RIP.
One of the most naturally gifted fighters I've ever seen and we've ever produced. Had he been dedicated and he lived the life, we're talking a good fighter. I mean, he beat Roberto Duran in a split decision. But, there's two fights where you think Colin Jones in the 1980s, where basically he was boxing his head off, but he ran out of steam. And he found himself getting knocked out. But if you look at, you just look at him, technically everything was right with him. Speed, movement, timing. It's a big loss for the sport, massive loss for the sport. But again, it's one of those situations where, again, he's one of the unlucky ones. He fought with probably where there's in an era where great fighters and good fighters like him just weren't getting exposure from TV. And and obviously they had a situation where they weren't having people like MTK and to kind of give them this kind of a training camp for fighters. So again, it's young fighters have to owe people like Kirkland Lang, their careers, because of the way fighters like Kirkland Lang were managed and promoted, and the fact that boxing had to get his act together, why boxers are now earning better money, they're getting better training, they're getting, better medical advice as well, defibrillators, brain injuries as well, in terms of like dealing with, fighters going in concerts, probably going into hemorrhaging as well. All of that, fighters like Curtin Lang weren't getting. You only have to look at 91, poor old Michael Watson. There wasn't even a defibrillator. There was nothing there. No medical, nothing. It was
it's just a shame that sometimes these tragedies have to happen for things to improve.
Yeah.
But obviously, I was talking to a friend of mine and just like off topic, but with the whole Ericsson thing, that was, although it was horrific that happened on live TV, but it was probably the best place for him because they had all the medical staff, they had defibrillators, and if he wasn't there, if he was at home, whether you didn't have that, he probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's one of the things as well. Like, it's obviously you can use this platform. I just say to everyone, right, watch every video you can, where where people performing CPR, where people showing you how to use the defibrillator. Because at the end of the day, we should all be able to be trying to do that. It shouldn't be a situation where you've got a choice. Just take that opportunity. Anything you have at work, first aid, just do it, or just watch the video. Because at the end of the day, you just don't know. Because at the end of the day, as fit as we are, there are going to be a situation where there's accidents as well. Because we don't know how much pressure we put in our bodies, and as sportsmen as well. Again, they're trained to take their body to an area, dig deep. Sometimes dig deep can mean too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And that is wise words from Kenny Ken to close off this fantastic live stream. Fight Camp 2021, it's on, baby. And I cannot wait. Kenny, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at KennyKen1972 and on Instagram, KennyKen1972.
Thank you very much. And you can find me at Joe Pugh 1309 on Instagram and Joe Pugh Boxing on Twitter. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Go, Kenny.
One more thing. There's a press conference soon.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that. But again, as I said before, because Deontay Wilder is selling that fight and selling himself, and Tyson Fury is selling himself to the extent that he just wants a fight. So again, as much as people think it's going to be like a landslide win, you just got to think of a good picture, mate. It's a press conference and it's the beef that sells the fight.
That is 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. And we've got a press conference, so I cannot wait for that. And I'm sure we will talk about it very soon after, Ken.
Definitely. I'll speak to you soon, mate.
Lovely. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
See ya. Bye.